Serena Williams goes down yet again. Is this the end? Should it be the end? Plus, Big Ben's future in Pittsburgh. Huge question mark if you're listening to that GM. That's something to think about, and of course, something to salivate over. The Brooklyn Nets visit the Los Angeles Lakers. Maybe not KD and LeBron, but how does Kyrie versus LeBron sound to you? All that and more coming up. First Takes in the house. Let's get it.
We know what our identity is. Our team know what our identity is.
How willing and open do you have to be for that to be changed?
I'm trying to change.
I just looked at him and I said, you're the point guard, and I'm going to play shooting guard.
They be on face. I always know when it's all talk. We all trying to make it and doing the stage. I know I'm pushing off tops. I'm making a statement, showing them greatness. I'm trying to make sure my money straight.
It's going to be a show. It's going to be a movie.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into First Take. Get ready for it, Max, on this Friday Eve. Stephen A's favorite because he works 365, 7 days a week. Stephen A, Max, I'm Molly. What's going on? Good to be back with you guys.
Good to see you, Molly.
Good to have you back.
All right. Let's do this because we got a big one coming up here. Nets and Lakers, y'all know what it is. Unfortunately, no Anthony Davis. He's out with the calf. KD's out with the hammy. So it'll be King James versus former teammate Kyrie Irving. I'm here for all of it. And James Harden, coast to coast, BK versus LA. Stephen A, talk to me here. What does this game mean for Kyrie and LeBron?
I think it means that for LeBron, it's another game. For Kyrie, I think it's a big game. And I will confess to you that I didn't really think about it much other than because KD was out and Anthony Davis was out. But I got to tell you something. I was doing my Sports Center with Stephen A. Smith show last night, and I had Mike Wilbon on, the great Mike Wilbon, for PTI fame, pardon the interruption and all of that. We all know and love him well. Here's the deal. He said something, and during his soliloquy, he talked about how Kyrie missed the previous game because he was told that Kyrie wanted to be 100% for tonight's game going up against LeBron James. And I think one of the storylines that has sort of slid under the radar because, again, after they won the championship in Cleveland and ultimately a year later he wanted out of Cleveland and was granted his wish and ended up going to the Boston Celtics before he would become a free agent a year after that. And then he would decide to take his talents to Brooklyn, New York. What got lost in the shuffle is that, number one, Kyrie Irving wanted to depart from Cleveland, didn't want to be like what did they say, Max? He didn't want to be the son. He didn't want to be the little brother. I wasn't made to be the son. All of that stuff.
Marlo from The Wire. I wasn't made to play the son.
That's right. I wasn't meant to play the son. He wasn't trying to do that. Okay, so he wanted out of Cleveland, and then now he has an opportunity to go up against LeBron. And if you remember in the offseason when he was on KD's podcast, I think it was his own podcast, or KD, I don't know, one of those damn podcasts, he was talking to KD, and he said basically that you're the first guy that I've played with that I had confidence in more than myself, or just as much as myself, to give the ball to and say, hey, take us there, and I ain't worried about it. Now, everybody and their mother took it as a shot against LeBron. Kyrie emphatically denied that was his intent. But even LeBron, when asked about it thereafter, acknowledged that he felt like it was a shot at him. And so there's something there. And so when I listened to Mike Wilbon last night, Max, my mentality in terms of being just recalling, just reminding myself who Kyrie is and what he is, because he's a showstopper. He's a superstar. The brother's box office. You walk through the turnstiles to watch Kyrie Irving.
Best show in the NBA.
That damn special. He is. He truly is. But you look at him and then you see a guy that he's motivated to put on a show to begin with because his talent just demands that. That's the kind of capability that he has. But when you combine that with the fact that he has said what he has said and his actions has dictated that, guess what? You know what? I mad respect for LeBron or whatever, but I'm not trying to play with the brother. I want to go against him. Now you're thinking about KD being out, and all of a sudden you're salivating at this because LeBron doesn't have AD. Kyrie doesn't have KD, but he's got Harden, and he's got a team that's capable of beating the Lakers, particularly without AD. And so now you look at tonight's game, and it's a show. It's him against LeBron. You know LeBron going to be ready because he know Kyrie coming. And Kyrie is coming and is unapologetic about it. And listen, this is not something to create negative headlines. I hope people are not taking it that way. I'm saying when we talking basketball, when we talking basketball here, Max, all right? And you're talking about not just teams going up against each other, but that individual show, because it's not like Kyrie can guard LeBron or something like that because LeBron's just too damn big for him. I'm just talking about two cats who are elite, going at one another, looking forward to going at one another, and no matter how much they try to hide it, everybody knows they going after one another. That is what makes tonight such a compelling matchup. I think Kyrie Irving is going to try to put on a show. I think he's going to try to drop 50, okay? And I think LeBron is going to be right there saying, wait a minute. Have you forgotten who the hell I am? I think it's that kind of matchup, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, your years on the beat, Stephen A., and writing for a paper like the one you did in Philly is showing, because you hit the nail on the head in terms of this storyline. Like, that's the story. For everyone who's like, damn, Lakers, Nets, I was looking forward to this one. This is supposed to be a finals preview. No AD and no KD. Damn, it's not the same. Well, that's the story right there. Kyrie is coming for LeBron's head. And you bring up Marlo from The Wire. You know, I love to talk about Kyrie that way because Proposition Joe told him, I treated you just like a son. And Marlo's about to have him bumped off.
That's right.
And Marlo says, I wasn't made to play the son. The difference here is if Kyrie ever felt like LeBron was trying to son him, that may be. LeBron ain't Prop Joe. LeBron is the boss of all bosses. This ain't Prop Joe. So the thing about LeBron, and I won't get into what may have happened in their personal relationship in Cleveland to have Kyrie feeling like this about LeBron, but anyone who plays with LeBron is the sidekick. Anyone. Like, you know, AD is with LeBron. Who's the main man? It's LeBron. Doesn't matter who LeBron's playing with because he's the best player in the NBA. And there's downside here for Kyrie, Stephen A. And here's the downside, and you touched on that too. There's no AD. LeBron ain't part of a big three. He's on a nicely constructed team, but he's part of an MVP 2 with AD. AD's out. Kyrie's on a big three, and KD is out, but he still has James Harden. So I hear what you're saying. Kyrie is going to put on a show. No doubt, I think everyone would agree with that, or try. And when Kyrie tries to put on a show is put on. You are not stopping him on offense. He better win. The pressure is on Kyrie to win. Because and by the way, even then, what's the upside, right? Well, LeBron didn't have AD. He's not necessarily supposed to win. But if LeBron beats Kyrie and Kyrie has James Harden, Stephen A., Harden's not in the MVP conversation because of the way he had to get out of Houston and because of the shots he's had to give up.
He is in the MVP conversation.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But in reality, he's not going to win the MVP, in other words. But in reality, he's been one of the most valuable players in basketball since he got to Brooklyn. Kyrie has him. You can't lose this game to LeBron if you have Harden and he doesn't have AD.
Well, I think you can lose the game. It's a regular season game, and I'm not going to put that much emphasis on it. What I will tell you is that Kyrie can't stink up the joint while LeBron puts on the show. That can't happen. You know, but if Kyrie loses the game, but he drops 50 and it's a show and they going at one another, we'll all forgive a regular season loss, okay? 30 some odd games into the season or 30 games in the season. We ain't going to sweat that. It's just that one can't stink up the joint while the other puts on the show. That's the kind of stuff that can happen, and clearly that is the case with Kyrie. I will say this, though. I've actually replaced KD with Harden in the MVP conversation because of KD's injuries and KD obviously being sidelined due to COVID protocols and what have you. I think the combination of those two things have taken him out of that MVP race for now, at least. And I'll put Harden right up in there because Harden has been absolutely sensational as far as I'm concerned. But make no mistake about it, so has Kyrie Irving. And when you think about Kyrie Irving going up against LeBron James, again, we ain't trying to get into their relationship, whatever the hell happened. That's their personal business. I don't give a damn about that. What I care about is I don't need the details as to what has motivated them to want to go up against one another. What has motivated them to be relatively salty with one another, if indeed that is the case. All I'm talking is pure basketball. I'm talking about you in a game of basketball, you want individual animosity on the court.
Of course.
You love it. And I think we have that here
Dr. J
tonight.
with their hands around each other's throats. Look,
I think we have that
I get
here
all
tonight.
that, but you misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not talking about he can't lose because of us, because this is not about us. This is not about the media. If it's personal, this is between Kyrie and LeBron. If Kyrie wants to get at LeBron, if he's coming at LeBron's head, that's between those two. What I'm saying is, for the psyche of Kyrie and the Brooklyn Nets, don't be aiming at the throne, and you have Harden, and he doesn't have AD, and you lose. Kyrie will put on a show. I know that. I'm confident. They got to win the game.
All right, can't wait for that. That's tonight. We'll break it all down tomorrow. Lakers favored by 2.5. Nets on a 4-game win streak, trying to keep that alive. Fellas, how about the Aussie Open? The ladies.
James Harden having a huge night last night. So we asked the question, is he the most important piece of that big three puzzle? Also, All-Star game already raising a ton of concerns. Guess what? They aren't even allowing you to party in ATL this year. Should they even have the game? Also, guess what? Is HBCU Wednesday, so Morehouse College, take it away.
The tragedy of life is not
found in failure, but complacency.
Not in you doing too much,
but doing too little.
Not in you living above your means,
but below your capacity.
It's not failure, but aiming too low.
That is life's greatest tragedy.
Legendary Morehouse College president, Benjamin E. Mays.
Welcome to the house.
All right, a big thank you, big shout out to Morehouse College. It is HBCU Wednesday. They're going to be joining us in and out of the show, giving us a peek into their campus lifestyle and what's going on at Morehouse. And I want to ask what's going on to everybody here. Thanks for joining us. It is First Take. It is Wednesday. I'm Charlie Arnold. We got Max Kellerman. We got Kendrick Perkins in the house, stepping in for Stephen A. He'll be here in just a little bit. And guys, we have a lot to get to. The Nets had a big already. Look at this blue suit that Kendrick Perkins has showed up in.
There he is.
Why aren't you wearing a blue suit, Max? Okay, guys.
Blue suit?
We are going to get it started. The Nets had a big Blue Suit Wednesday. That's what we're going to call it. All right, guys. James Harden setting it off last night. He was on fire. The Nets were visiting the Suns. They were considered the underdogs with both Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving out, and it looked to play out that way at the break. But then James Harden heated up, helping Brooklyn to pull off one of the most impressive comebacks of the season, winning 128-124. James Harden ended the game with 38 points, 11 assists, 7 rebounds, moving the Nets into sole position of the number 2 spot in the Eastern Conference. So, Max, did James Harden prove with his performance last night that he is the most important factor of the big three?
He did, but Perk, I heard you call me out. What's up? You have something to say?
No, go ahead. Do your thing. Do your thing right quick. I want to hear what you got to say, Max.
Okay.
Go ahead and handle your business. I want to hear this.
The answer is yes. Harden is the key. And let me be very clear. I am in no way saying he is better than Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is the best player on the team. But Harden's the key to the big three. He is. Let's rewind this. Remember when the trade took place? Harden was playing himself out of Houston, right? He wasn't even in the lineup, and he wasn't playing well before he left, and he was throwing it looked just bad for Harden, and everyone knew why he was doing it. He's trying to force his way out of town, and it worked. He shows up in Brooklyn. Perk, how many times have I said it? Fat, looking like he just rolled out of bed, looking like a hot mess. And what'd he do? Rolled out of bed. No Kyrie at the time. Kyrie wasn't playing at the time. It was Harden and KD, and started killing them. They started winning right away, as though they never missed the best. They've been playing together this whole time. Harden, when he got to the team, was the guy who was going to have to sacrifice the most. I knew that from the beginning. It wasn't going to be Kyrie. It was going to be Harden. And what has Harden done? You know what it reminds me of, Perk? When I was a kid, I used to hear stories, because I was born in '73. The Knicks won the championship January 73. I was born in August, last time they won a title. And I would hear stories of Earl the Pearl Monroe coming to the Knicks, right? And Earl the Pearl Monroe, back then known as Black Jesus, if you want to YouTube Earl the Pearl, he would be giving guys the business today. Today, he was nasty. And the whole thing was there's only one ball. How are they going to share this backcourt, these two guys? But Earl the Pearl wanted to be great. Clyde Frazier already had a ring. He wanted to be great. And so it worked fine. They won the championship together. How are they going to work this? What's going to happen? James Harden has given up shots until they needed him to score last night. He's done everything that he's needed to do. His judgment with the ball and his court vision, setting up teammates, has been extraordinary. And he is the key to this offense.
All right, and Stephen A. Smith now here on First Take. So, Stephen A., we're asking the question right now, with James Harden's dynamic performance last night, scoring 38 points, helping them to get that comeback victory, is he now considered the most important factor of the big three?
No, he's not. He's great. He showed it last night. He reminded us of what he can do when he doesn't have a big two to go along with him. But the key component in all of this is Kevin Durant. When you talk about the Brooklyn Nets and being title contenders or legitimately winning the chip, it's not going to happen without KD. KD can win a chip potentially with Kyrie. KD can win a chip potentially with James Harden. KD could definitely win a chip with the both of them. Neither of them are winning it without him. That's the bottom line. If Kyrie and Harden were the cornerstones of this franchise, we wouldn't be talking about the Nets winning the championship. We'd be talking about them being a contender, but we'd have legitimate arguments as to why they wouldn't even come out of the Eastern Conference. That's the difference. Now, that's not to diminish what James Harden is giving you in any way. James Harden is a superstar in this league. He's fresh off of averaging over 30 the last 3 years. He's captured the league MVP. We know how electrifying offensively he is. And what he's been doing this year is unbelievable because he's as selfless as they come. He's highlighting the fact that he can be selfless. He hasn't been given enough credit for it. He is the best point guard on the team and might be the best point guard in basketball right now, the way that he's been playing and running the show for the Brooklyn Nets. But in the end, what it comes down to is you ain't getting but so far and you ain't doing but so much unless you have Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is the key to the Nets' big three. Without him, it doesn't work.
Well, I'm going to say this, and I respectfully disagree, and both of you guys came up with great points. But the key to this team, to the big three, is Kyrie Irving. We already know what we're going to get out of Kevin Durant. We know the efficiency, and he's going to put the ball in the basket at a high efficiency level. We know that James Harden could also put the ball in the basket, but also make guys around him better and lead the league in assists, as you just alluded to, Stephen A., the best point guard on that team and probably the best point guard in the league right now. But when you talk about Kyrie Irving, he is going to be the deciding factor in all this. And here's why. He has one job, and that job is to go out there and be that guy to get buckets. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the defense is so horrendous and so terrible that they're going to have to beat a lot of teams and win a lot of series on the offensive end. And if Kyrie Irving don't have those monster nights and don't shoot at a high efficiency level, then the Brooklyn Nets are not going anywhere. They need Kyrie Irving to be the Kyrie Irving that we have been witnessing this season, arguably having the best season of his career, especially efficiency-wise. So when I look at the key to the big three, I strongly believe that it's Kyrie Irving that's going to be the deciding factor whether or not they win the championship.
I think it's James Harden. Look, Kyrie is freed up now, guys. Kyrie is freed up. When he said, you're the point guard, I'm the off guard, it freed Kyrie up to score. No one's going to stop Kyrie Irving from scoring when he doesn't have to especially worry about running the offense, because Kyrie has some court vision and obviously can pass, but not court vision that James Harden has. And James Harden shows better judgment with the ball. I mean, when you think about the responsibility of Harden in this offense, and I really believe you take anyone off this team, they're not going to win a championship. But all three, they can, and they very well might even this year if they can get the defense together. Harden is the guy asked to change. He's the guy asked to give up shots. And last night, talk about judgment, he's the guy hunting mismatches and pick and rolling them to death in the second half. Of course, used to D'Antoni, Steve Nash, D'Antoni on the bench, pick and rolling them to death in the second half, showing that judgment and court vision, never mind scoring ability. He was the guy who from day one made it work with KD, and then after a couple weeks figured it out with Kyrie. He's the glue guy. He's the guy who holds it all together.
Well, like I said, not only am I making the argument that I make, but I'm gonna come at you, Big Perk, with this. I think that you're looking at it from a negative perspective, and I'm looking at it from a positive perspective. You're thinking about Kyrie. He could be great on a positive level, or he could be destructive because something might happen to him emotionally, and he might not want to play or something along those lines. So it could go either way, which makes him a key. I'm saying what makes Kevin Durant the key is that nothing works without KD. You could be as positive as you want to be with Kyrie and James Harden, or negative. It don't matter. Without Kevin Durant, it does not work. But with Kevin Durant, everything could potentially work and everything could potentially be overcome. Think about this with James Harden for a second here, guys. When we talk about how explosive Kyrie can be, both of you acknowledge how explosive. Anybody with two eyes can see how explosive Kyrie can be. He's a superstar. He's box office. You walk through the turnstiles to see the kind of show that he could put on. But if something happened to Kyrie, you trying to tell me that James Harden can't pick up that slack? Oh, yes, he can. He can pick up that slack. He most certainly can. Nobody can pick up the slack that KD leaves behind. That's where I'm coming from with it.
Well, he's the best player. KD's the best player.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that, and I'm not arguing that James Harden is not the best facilitator. My thing is that if you're talking about the Brooklyn Nets winning the championship, we're looking at Kyrie Irving, and I'm not talking about what he's doing off the court or positive or negative. I'm talking about Kyrie Irving producing at a high level, because when Kyrie Irving was out, our whole conversation was that how he's going to fit when he comes back. Who's going to be the Batman? Who's going to be the Robin? Kyrie Irving came back, and not only has he been playing phenomenal basketball, but he has been taking over 4 quarters when the big three has been healthy. If last time I checked, when the big three has been on the court and the game get close in the 4th quarter, majority of the time the ball has been in Kyrie Irving's hands, and he has been delivering. That's all I'm saying. He is the key.
And I'm saying to you, they won't win if that continues. Kyrie can average 40, but if he's taking double the amount of shots of James Harden, and he's the one with the ball with the ball in his hands and late in the games in 4th quarters at the expense of a Kevin Durant, that is not a winning formula. It has to go through KD to win the chip.
You make sure you fix your attitude. I know you out there in LA, but you fix your attitude this morning.
But you don't tell me what to do. What do you mean fix my attitude?
He's got that LA vibe.
You better watch your mouth, Big Perk. I don't care. What do you think you scary? What are you talking about? I'm going to fix my attitude. My attitude actually is very, very fine. I'm in LA. I mean, I'm very good. If we want to be clear about it. You the one freezing up in Texas.
Absolutely. Stephen A., we like it. Guys, listen, as of last night, James Harden posted his 7th 30-point game and a 20-point comeback win. That is 2 more than any other player in the past 25 seasons, so we got to give him his props for it last night. Now, look, All-Star game coming up. James Harden probably going to be